This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Good morning. It is 4:27 here on our Friday. Thanks for waking up early with us on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. We made it to Friday, Lauren. So happy to be here.
Oh my goodness, TGIF. We do have several stories to get to before we really get into the show today. And starting with a big talker today, it is Friday and we have officially entered stage 3 for most of the state. That excludes a few counties, including Marion County, Cass County, Lake County, and Monroe County. But the rest of the state is now in stage 3, and that means we can have social gatherings of up to 100 people with social distancing and some common sense in that as well. Community pools, campgrounds are allowed to open now. Retailers and malls that were at 50% capacity can now open at 75% capacity. Gyms and fitness centers are also able to reopen in those counties. So again, all of this has to do with still staying safe, still practicing social distancing and proper sanitation. So we'll continue to follow up throughout the morning on what this means for businesses in our state.
And coming up this morning on Good Morning Indiana, we are going to break down the very latest coronavirus numbers. Right now, we are about 29,000 cases. We're just over that number. We have 676 new cases here in our state, and the new deaths number, that's at 48 as well. So we're going to break those down, make sure you have the very latest information when it comes to cases here in Indiana. Now to your Storm Team 6 forecast. It is Friday, Todd. Walking out the door this morning, it doesn't feel too bad outside.
Yeah, you know, the warmer air is starting to work its way in. And Nicole, we've been talking about this warm up that's been heading our way, which feels like all week we've been talking about two things really. That area of low pressure that was just slowly moving and the warm up heading our way. Well, we're finally getting rid of the area of low pressure and the warm up is starting to begin. As this warmer air is coming in, there is the possibility of a little bit of patchy fog this morning. Be aware of that. Temperatures this morning in the 60s in Muncie as well as Lafayette. 58 is the current temperature in Indianapolis. So we'll have morning clouds here, some PM sunshine, and then warmer temperatures will start to work their way in as the day goes on. So it's going to trend warmer today, and then the summertime heat still on track to build in this weekend as high temperatures will eventually be topping off all the way into the low to mid 80s starting tomorrow. With that, though, will come the chance of thunderstorms. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, it is Friday, and that means it is time for Good News Friday. So later in the show, we're going to bring you an entire segment of nothing but good news, including about this guy. This is Sly. He's a local dog that had a rough start to life, and he came from an animal shelter, but now he has a bright future. We'll tell you more about what he'll be doing this week after graduating from a special program in Indianapolis. That plus news, weather, and traffic coming up for your Friday.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 4:30 on Good Morning Indiana, stage 3 of Indiana's reopening plan is now underway across most of Indiana. Working for you will break down the new guidelines as the state continues to reopen.
While Marion County is not advancing to stage 3, restaurants can begin outdoor seating. Why some business owners on Mass Ave aren't happy with the city's efforts to give them more space in the streets. And taking care of your mental health can be difficult during this pandemic. What local health experts recommend you do to manage anxiety and stress. It is 4:30 here Friday morning. Thanks for joining us on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. And I'm Nicole Griffin. Thanks for starting your day with us. Meteorologist Todd Clausen standing by. Todd, when I walked out this morning, I'm like, okay, I like this weather to start the Friday.
Yeah, you know, even last night, right before I went to bed, I walked out to the garage and you could kind of start to feel the change. There was a little mist out there, and that was a sign of the warmer air starting to finally work its way in. So you're exactly right, Nicole. You can already feel the change this morning. The change is also bringing a little bit of patchy fog. It's not a huge issue for us this morning, but these visibilities may continue to drop a little bit this morning as this warmer air continues to work its way in. So it's definitely a cloudy start to our day. There could be a little bit of patchy drizzle as well across parts of the area as this warm front starts to move through, but eventually it'll get us up into the 70s later on this afternoon. 57 in Martinsville right now, 60 in Muncie. A little cooler to the south, Bloomington down towards the Bedford area where the skies have cleared just a little bit, but we are going to be completely dry throughout the day today. So we'll start off with the clouds. We'll work some sunshine in as the warmer air comes in. We can't rule out again the chance of maybe a spot shower here or there, but they they should be very few and far between. And then there are those temperatures climbing into the 70s this afternoon. We'll talk more about the holiday weekend for you coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic. This is over to our west. You can see that traffic on I-70 a little west of Lyndhurst Drive is moving along up to speed. This is an area, though, where we're going to have an interstate closure in the eastbound lanes. That is starting around 5 a.m. So it's still open, it looks like, at this hour, but at 5 a.m. they're going to do a full closure of the I-70 eastbound lanes between Ronald Reagan Parkway and the South Split. That will last through June 28th, and of course we'll keep you updated. The collector ramp for I-465 in the area will remain open for your commute, so we'll continue to keep a look on that. But then over here in 465 and I-70 eastbound, this is an area on the east side where we had some maintenance going on the ramp system from southbound 465 to eastbound I-70. We'll continue to keep you updated, but looks like everything in that area on the east side is traveling up to speed this morning.
Most of Indiana is now in stage 3 of the state's back on track reopening plan. That means social gatherings can include up to 100 people. Community pools and campgrounds can open. Retail stores and malls can be open at 75% capacity, and gyms and fitness centers can open with restrictions. Marion, Cass, Monroe, and Lake counties are not moving into stage 3 with the rest of the state.
And here in Marion County, personal service businesses like salons and barbershops still cannot open, and indoor dining is not allowed. Both are restricted until at least June 1st. But starting today, Marion County restaurants will be allowed to open outdoor dining areas.
And a reminder, multiple streets are being closed off to vehicle traffic so that restaurants have more space to seat customers. Work began overnight on Broad Ripple Avenue to get the roads set up. That street will be blocked off from the Monon Trail to College Avenue. Downtown Mass Ave will be closed from its intersection with College to New York and Delaware streets. Georgia Street will be blocked off from Pennsylvania to Illinois Street, and Illinois Street will be closed from Georgia to Market Street. The southern half of Monument Circle will also be closed. Officials say the street closures will provide the space needed for social distancing. The closures are expected to last until the July 4th weekend.
Now, Nicole, not all businesses along those streets are excited to deal with the closures. Owners of 24 businesses along Mass Ave sent a letter to Mayor Joe Hogsett asking for him to put a stop to this plan. In that letter, the businesses want the city to hold a public meeting with the public to get feedback before the changes are made. They're also concerned about social distancing, saying that funneling the city's population to Mass Ave is essentially creating a, quote, street fair with alcohol. Bill Pritt, owner of sushi restaurant 45 Degrees, signed the letter. He says city leaders never asked if they wanted the streets to close.
I've managed to carve out a pretty successful carry-out and delivery business, which I'm concerned about. And right now it's working for us. I know other shops and other businesses have carved out different ways to survive right now as well. But closing off the road is kind of be like suffocating the commerce that we are able to have right now.
The mayor's office responded to the letter from business owners in a statement saying, quote, the creative approach we announced earlier this week is meant to prioritize the critical need for social distancing in our pedestrian-heavy corridors. We remain committed to continuing conversations with stakeholders in all of the impacted areas in order to identify challenges and alleviate issues, end quote.
Indigo has announced 4 route detours because of the outdoor seating road closures. It says routes 11, 18, 21, and 38 will be impacted. Affected stops will be marked with signage to the next closest stop. Indigo says the detours are expected to last through the July 4th weekend. We do have a link to more on these route changes on our website, theindychannel.com.
Indiana now has reported nearly 30,000 cases of COVID-19 since the pandemic began. The Indiana State Department of Health confirming 676 new cases and 48 new deaths. Now, we want to note that those deaths were reported between May 2nd and this past Wednesday. More than 200,000 Hoosiers have been tested for the virus so far. 14.7% of those tests have come back positive.
Purdue University is adding more coronavirus precautions as it prepares to open their West Lafayette campus this fall. Starting Tuesday, anyone entering a campus building will be required to wear a face covering. Officials say it must be worn in all hallways, public spaces, common areas, and office spaces. Signs and marked pathways will be posted around campus to promote social distancing. Purdue President Mitch Daniels has has also appointed a Protect Purdue team to develop procedures and guidelines to keep the campus as safe as possible. The Rebound Indiana is our initiative in RTV6, connecting you to advice and resources you can use to cope with the impacts of the pandemic. One of the issues facing Hoosiers is mental health.
And so that's why Dr. Virginia Kane, the director of the Marion County Public Health Department, joined other health experts for this virtual town hall last night. Now, the goal was to provide resources to women, particularly African-American women who are facing mental health issues. Dr. Kane says Black women may feel extra pressure or stress, and that's because of the disproportionate impact the coronavirus has had on Indiana's African-American population. The panel says one of the most important things women can do is take care of themselves first.
Self-caring is there's something I want, is important for me to have. It may hurt you. That's not my intent, but I'm going to do that thing for me.
The panel also discussed ways that you can maintain your mental health during this time. That includes things like sticking to a routine and taking advantage of technology.
Making a schedule is really important. Everyone does better with structure, and so make a schedule, even if it includes things like watching TV or meditation, because if we just let our emotions dictate what happens, I think that we find ourselves feeling a bit unmoored.
And of course, there are a lot of apps available to us now, the app Calm, the app Headspace. Mindfulness has just gotten to be a really important part of our integration but particularly with...
Well, you can find a link to the full discussion at theindychannel.com right now.
The pandemic is causing a major concern for child advocacy centers. Over the last few months, they have seen the number of child abuse reports drop. During the pandemic, calls to the state's child abuse and neglect hotline are down more than 40% compared to April of 2019. And that is why Susie's Place, a child advocacy center, developed a partnership with 7 local schools to reach children at home through e-learning. The executive director says just because reports have dropped doesn't mean child abuse is not happening. Plainfield Community School Corporation is one of the districts they are working with to reach students.
The key people who make the reports, schools, community members, churches, daycare, are not seeing kids. So we started thinking within our corporation, what can we do to just get the message out that we are the eyes?
But we want those teachers to inquire about that, ask explicitly about, are you safe at home? Is there something that we need to talk about? Do you need help? And explore that with their students and let their students know, I as a teacher am a safe, trusted adult and I'm here to help you.
At Susie's Place, their cases declined from 139 cases in April of 2019 to only 36 cases in April of 2020. Plainfield schools are now out for the summer, but their feeding program resumes on June 1st. At that time, they will continue pushing safety messages to children and letting them know that counselors are available all summer long.
The nation's top health expert warning of a second wave of the coronavirus. Coming up, the new information the CDC is revealing about its virus research.
Going through security at the airport will be a little different the next time you fly. Still ahead, the new changes the TSA is making to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Todd.
And warmer temperatures will finally be working their way into central Indiana here throughout the day today. It's going to be a process throughout the day, but eventually we will replace the 50s where we stand right now with the 70s later on this afternoon. And by tomorrow, we're talking 80s across most of the area. We'll talk all about it in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 4:40. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV6.
Hoosiers only on RTV6.
This morning, the CDC is learning more about how the coronavirus spreads, but health experts are also warning officials of a second wave. ABC's Alex Perche has more now from Washington.
This morning, a warning from the head of the Centers for Disease Control about a second wave of the coronavirus. Director Robert Redfield saying it's very likely, pointing to the Southern Hemisphere's cooling temperatures and spike in cases. Redfield not ruling out a second lockdown, saying, I can't guarantee. What I can say is that we are committed to using the time that we have now to get this nation as overprepared as possible. President Trump disagreeing with the possibility of a second lockdown.
Whether it's an ember or a flame, we're going to put it out. but we're not closing our country.
Also, more guidance. The CDC updating its website, reminding people the virus does not spread as easily on surfaces as initially thought, saying, quote, the virus spreads easily between people, adding touching surfaces or objects is not the main ways the virus spreads. Ahead of the holiday weekend, Dr. Anthony Fauci on CNN encouraged Americans to go out while taking precautions.
I plan to go out for nice walks and hikes over Memorial Day, and I'm going to do it with care, with a mask on.
The entire country now easing restrictions. This graduation in Hoover, Alabama. Nearly 400 students at the stadium. Masks were required to enter. Restaurant chains in Florida are opening up more.
We're reopening our dining rooms. About 1,500 restaurants in North America that have started to open their dining rooms.
And in South Carolina, amusement parks, museums, and mini golf courses can open today. Ohio is allowing weddings with up to 300 people beginning June 1st. And Alaska taking an even bigger step, skipping straight to phase 4, totally reopening after the holiday.
A big part of fighting COVID-19 are those antibody tests, and to protect consumers, the FDA has identified 27 tests that it views as problematic. It's putting that list on its website. Alex Perchet, ABC News, Washington.
Alex, thank you. The pandemic is continuing to impact American jobs. 2.4 million people filed for unemployment last week, according to the Labor Department. The department says more than 30,000 Hoosiers were among those that filed. This is the 9th week in a row that millions of Americans have filed for initial unemployment benefits. A total of 38 million people have filed since mid-March when lockdowns began. With the 2020 games postponed, Olympic employees are facing some layoffs of their own. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee is getting rid of 51 jobs and furloughing more than 30 more. It's the most drastic cut the committee has made since 2009, when it dealt with recession shortfalls. The committee's CEO says with training facilities closed across the country, the USOPC has taken a financial hit.
The next time you fly, you'll notice some things are a little bit different at security. The TSA is changing up some of its policies to better protect employees from exposure to the coronavirus. For instance, they won't touch your boarding pass. You'll still have to show it, but they won't hold it while inspecting it. And if your bags need to go through the x-ray again or need to be searched, they'll have you open them and place them back on the belt. You're also encouraged to put small items like your wallet or your phone in your carry-on bag before walking through the body scanner rather than placing them in the x-ray bins. At 4:47, we got to get a check of our forecast right now with Todd Clausen, and I think things are finally starting to look up a little bit, Todd.
You know, we'll get there. You know, today's not going to be the brightest day, Lauren, but it's definitely going to be a lot warmer as the temperatures start to climb here throughout the day today. And as you look from downtown to the north, you notice just a little bit of low cloud cover there. And that's the warmer air starting to come in. So there's some moisture out there, and that's going to result in a little bit of patchy fog settling into parts of the area. Visibility still not terrible, as you see in downtown Indianapolis. However, in some other locations where the skies have cleared just a little bit this morning, visibility has dropped. We're down to 0.2 of a mile in the Bloomington area, but it's a pretty small pocket of dense fog there. But I am expecting the visibility to drop in spots here as the morning progresses, so be aware of that. A little warmer to the north this morning, 60 in Muncie, 61 in Lafayette, 52 is the current temperature in Bloomington as well as Bedford, and we're holding on to 59 degrees here in Indianapolis for your current temperature. So here are the clouds. You notice this little wedge of clearer skies that has settled in from Terre Haute to Bloomington, and that's why the visibilities have dropped there just a little bit. We'll expand out, and we're finally getting rid of this area of low pressure that we have been talking about this entire week. Sunday is when it first started to move in with that rain, and here we are on Friday, and we're still talking about it. That's how slow it's been moving. Still close enough to keep, again, the clouds in place throughout the day today, and really going forward in this forecast, I don't think there's ever going to be, at least through the holiday weekend, of a completely sunny day. There's definitely going to be more clouds around than sunshine, but it's going to trend warm and very, very muggy. Today, there could be a spot area of maybe some drizzle or a quick passing shower, but shouldn't be anything more than that, so no need to cancel any plans if you are going to be out and about throughout the day today, because temperatures will be warming nicely. Yesterday, we were in the 60s. Today, we make the jump up into the 70s. Should be up to about 73 degrees later on this afternoon for your high. Now, rain chances tomorrow, they're about 20 to 30% chance. So they're going to be spotty off and on throughout the day. So Saturday, it's not going to be a wet day for us, but there will be some scattered storms around at times. 84 degrees. Sunday, we're up to 86 degrees with partly cloudy skies, the chance of some storms. And then Monday, about a 40% chance of rain for your Memorial Day. So storm chances will be present really tomorrow all the way through next week. As it turns warm, it turns very humid, and it's just a very typical summertime pattern with these storms that'll flare up mainly in the afternoon hours, some downpours, then they move on, and then you get dry weather back in. So while it looks really wet on your 7-day planning forecast, just know there's a lot of dry hours mixed in there as well to enjoy those warm temperatures that build in here starting today.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. We want to take a look at traffic right now. This is I-70 near Ronald Reagan Parkway, and this is where we have a closure going into effect. And if you look closely on the right side of your screen, you can see traffic going off I-70 eastbound onto the exit ramp there. They're likely using that collector ramp to 465. The closure of the eastbound lanes between here and the downtown area at the South Split set to go into effect at 5 o'clock this morning. And it looks like it may already be closed in this spot, and they have those barrels out there. So keep that in mind. That closure is scheduled to last through June 28th. So this is another long-term I-70 closure. We'll continue to monitor the progress and keep you updated, but be ready to change up your commute in the area.
Well, if you haven't used your Netflix account in a while, it might get canceled. The streaming service says it will start asking inactive users if they want to keep their subscription. If you select no or don't respond, Netflix will automatically cancel your service. Company officials say it's part of an effort to help prevent people from paying for something that they're not using. Netflix will start sending out emails and app notifications about cancellations this week.
While Major League Baseball's 2020 season remains up in the air, Yankee Stadium won't sit empty. A New York hospital group is planning to turn the stadium's largest parking lot into a drive-in movie theater. In addition to putting up a big screen, the organizers will pipe in the sound through a PA system. Events will range from movie screenings to stand-up comedy to karaoke. To promote social distancing, the cars will also be parked 10 feet apart, and there will be a limit to 200 vehicles for each event.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, good idea.
Well, today Pac-Man is turning 40 years old. The arcade game debuted in a Tokyo arcade in 1980 and revolutionized the video game world. Pac-Man all started with a young game designer named Toru Iwatani, who created the game for the Japanese games firm Namco. It went on to become the most successful arcade game of all time. He says he never dreamed it would be loved and played so widely throughout the entire world.
A 6-year-old boy in Georgia connected with his favorite athlete with the help of his neighborhood FedEx driver. Just after the break, Tony Hawk's heartwarming response to this young fan.
And in Indianapolis, man is offering a unique tool to help people in rural areas dive into technology. Coming up new at 5 o'clock, the summer program he created to help others improve their skills and potentially start their own business. It's 4:52. You're watching Good Morning Indiana. Stay with us.
Home experts at theindychannel.com.
Pro skateboarder Tony Hawk is making dreams come true. He gave a 6-year-old Georgia boy a new skateboard this week after the child got in touch with him in a unique way. It all started when Cooper Morgan tracked down a FedEx driver in his neighborhood. He gave him an old beat-up skateboard and asked him to get it to Tony Hawk. However, the driver didn't know how to get in touch with him, so he turned to social media app TikTok. Hawk quickly filmed a video response thanking Cooper and sent him a brand new board in return. Very cool. Let's get a check of your forecast with Todd.
All right, Nicole, we're definitely trending warmer and more summer-like here just as we head into the Memorial Day weekend, as temperatures today are going to be in the mid-70s with mostly cloudy skies. Tomorrow we make the jump up into the 80s, and then we stay in the mid to upper 80s all the way through the middle of next week. With the warmth, though, and the humidity will come the daily chance of afternoon storms once we get past today. The time now is 4:57. This is Good Morning Indiana. You're watching. Stay with us. We're right back here on RTV6 in just a few minutes.